All right. Obviously, 10.3, we're dealing with triangles. Okay? Dealing with triangles. Now, basically, a triangle is a three-sided figure. Thus the word tri in triangle. Each of the angles have a certain measurement, and when you add up all three angles, it's going to equal 180 degrees in every single triangle. If it doesn't, then it's not a triangle. Okay, it has to equal 180 degrees with all three of the angle measurements of the triangle. Now, we classify triangles in two different ways. We classify them by their angles, and we classify them by their length of sides. Okay, the three by their angles, three triangles by their angles, obviously we've already written those down, acute, right, and obtuse. Okay, an acute triangle has three acute angles. A right triangle has one 90-degree angle and two acute angles, okay? And then an obtuse one has one obtuse angle and two acute angles, all right? Now, if the triangle is classified by its sides, then we have the equilateral, isosceles, and scalene. What I want to point out is the little tick marks right here on the triangle. All of them have one tick mark on each side. That means all three sides are congruent. Okay, it means they're the same. Whether you have the measurements or not, you don't have to have the measurements. They can give you the tick marks. Everything is the same. Therefore, for example, now we'll talk about that in a second. The second one down here, the isosceles, will have two tick marks, meaning just two of the sides are congruent. Okay? Whatever the tick marks are on, those two sides have to have the same measurement. Then you have scalene, where none of the sides are congruent. Okay? Now, the main thing that you need to understand is the stuff that we're going to do a lot of, is the fact that if I take angle 1 plus angle 2 plus angle 3 of a triangle, it must equal 180 degrees. Okay, now, the other thing that we need to talk about is what we copied up at the first. When we have, for example, a triangle that looks like this. Okay, this is the interior angles. This is the exterior angles. Okay? Now, if I have a triangle that looks like that, and I tell you that this angle is 62 degrees, and I want to know what x is. It's 62 degrees, and I want to know what x is. What? 118 degrees. Why? But why is this angle, you've just told me what, by your explanation, you've just told me what those two angles are together. So what is x? What is the measurement of angle x? Huh? Why? No. Raise your hand. If you want to contribute, raise your hand. Owen, do you want to try to guess, or you want to tell me why? Right. It's what we've talked about in the other previous sections. If I have a line and another line intersects it, those two angles, whether they're connected to two other angles or not, these two angles have to equal 180 degrees. Okay? So, it is 118, okay, but it's not for the reason that Drew was talking about in this sense. Because here's the deal. When you talk about an exterior angle, this exterior angle will be the same is those two angles put together. Okay? So I can figure it out by either subtracting this interior angle from 180 degrees, or I can add the other two angles of the triangle, and it will equal the exterior angle of the triangle. Okay, so either way, so sort of what Drew was saying was correct, but I didn't want him to, I didn't want him to say that, one of the angles is 118 degrees, both of them are. So in a way, it's sort of correct. But the main thing is, when you take a straight line and intersect it with another line, you form two angles that have to be equal to 180 degrees. Okay, and that's the, that's the main theme that's going through all these sections. Okay, section 1, section 2, section 3, is it has to be 180 degrees. So we take 180 and subtract 62 from it. You get 118 degrees, and that is what x is. Okay? So the same can be true for the other one. If I have a triangle that looks like this, same triangle look, but I tell you that the angle out here is 120 degrees. So what does x have to be in this case? 60, okay? Because they both have to equal 180. So if you take x plus 120, that has to equal 180. In other words, this right here, the yellow, has to equal 180. So the two things that are in the yellow are the x and the 120. Okay? So you simply take and subtract 120 from both sides, and that will give you what x is, and it's 60 degrees. So, by our definition then, if this is 60 degrees, and we just said that angle 1 and angle 2 have to be equal to 120. So it all has to be 60. So what kind of triangle is that? Equilateral. And, yes, that would be an equilateral acute triangle. That's how you would classify that triangle. Okay? Because it was thirsty. All right, now, let's look at I hate drawing triangles. Not very good at it. Hey, zip it, both of you. That includes the drumming. All right, now, what would be the measurement of that angle? What? 96. It's 96 because you take 42 plus 42 plus the x. It all has to equal 180 degrees. So 42 and 42 is 84 plus x equal 180. So we subtract 84 from both sides. Cancels on the left side, leaving us with x. We subtract over here, and you get what? 96. So x would have to be equal to 96. Now, the thing that you need to understand is this. If I give you this, let's say, okay, if I touch that, you're supposed to draw a triangle. If I give you that this is if I give you those angles are 70, 70, that can't be 40. It's got to be, yeah, it is 40, excuse me. Okay. I give you those measurements, and I give you that triangle, and I want you to classify the triangle by its sides and by its angle measures. Okay, so what is it by its sides? Zach? No. You think it's isosceles? Why? Why are only two congruent? Huh? Two of the same numbers, two of the angles are the same? Yeah, that's what I wanted you to say. If there is two angles that are congruent, we don't need to know the side lengths. If two angles are congruent, then two of the sides have to be congruent on the triangle. Okay? So I cannot put any marks on it. All I need to know is I have two angles that are the same measurement. I have to have two sides the same length. If there's three angles that have the same measurement, then I have to have three sides that are the same length. If I have no angles that are the same measurement, then I'm going to have no sides with the same length. Okay? And so this would be an isosceles and acute triangle. Isosceles and acute triangle. Now, so therefore, I don't really even have to give you the triangle itself. I can say the triangle is 53, 57 degrees, and 70 degrees. Okay? And if I'm classifying that triangle by its sides and by its angle measurements, it would be the acute, and it would be scalene. Okay? And that's how you classify it. Now on all of these, they're not going to necessarily want you to classify them by both acute, by the angle, and by the length. Okay? So make sure you read the directions, but I want you to understand how the triangle works so we can classify it with both if need be. Scalene, do you have a question?
No, I was just...
yeah, I thought you were fixing to raise your hand, so. All right, now, let's say I have a triangle that has this, 112 degrees and 34.8 degrees. Okay? Angle 3 is missing. So what is angle 3? If you have those two angles, 33.2. Do what? 33.2. That is correct. Okay? You simply take 112 plus 34.8. Add those two together, and you get what? 146.8. When you add those two together, if you take 146.8 and subtract it from 180, okay, obviously we have to borrow from this, make it a 9, make that a 7, make that a 10. That would be 2, bring down my decimal, 9 minus 6 is 3, 7 minus 4 is 3. So 33.2 is how we got that right there. All right. Let's look at this one. You have X and Y both missing. They give you 60 and 52, and they want to know what X and what Y is. So, what is X? 68? Okay. X is 68. The reason X is 68, so you take 52 plus 60 plus X, it has to equal 180. 52 plus 60 is 112, plus X equals 180. Subtract 112 from both sides, cancels on the left, giving me 68. Now, Y, we said, is equal to the 68, 180 minus 68, which is equal to 112. The other way you could do it is we said a while ago that these two angles have to be the same as that one. So 52 plus 60 is 112. So that's how Y is equal to 112, and X is equal to 68. All right? Your homework. So you can hopefully have got about 22 minutes left in class. We're going to do 1 through 1 through 30. Huh? Why would I let you do that? Yeah. Yeah, well. Yeah. Well, right now y'all have been a little gabby, so we're going to work by ourselves. Right here, Emma.